Who are the best forward picks to start your FPL season with? Guys, in this video we're going to be going through who are the best forward picks I think you need to be considering in your game week 1 pick. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's a stat for you guys. Over 70% of you guys watching are not subscribed. Now, let's make a deal. So in the next few minutes, if you guys get the value that you're looking for from this video, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It would honestly make a huge difference in helping me and my one-man team, bringing you guys more content throughout the season. So, sounds like a deal? Let's get into it. All right, guys. So let's get straight into it. What I want to do first, before we get into the first man himself, Haaland, I want to just talk about who my best attacking fixtures are really for the teams. I think for me, in this order, Aston Villa first, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, and then Chelsea. I just feel like you'll find the trend in this, really the selection of teams with fixtures is, out of the fixtures that they have in the run of the first 6 game weeks, they have only one tough fixture, and I feel like that's really more favorable in terms of attacking for whatever attacking assets that you want to have. That way you also know that it's in the case where it's mostly like a defensive pick, you want to try and have them all be great fixtures. But I think even if it's just one, it's great. I think if it's an attacking asset, it's somewhat, for me, it doesn't really matter, because in the end of the day, they're scoring. You know, of course, it kind of sucks if it's like, for example, Tottenham there against Man City. You know that they're going to have a tough time scoring, but at the same time, you know that Man City's Achilles heel is actually and has always been Tottenham, so you can kind of really favor them in that fixture in terms of attacking wise. So yeah, I just feel that these teams really have, out of the 6 game weeks, they have 5 game weeks which are really more so favorable. I think Chelsea has more so 6 game weeks favorable. I think that Man United one could be tricky for them, depending on how far along Man United is, if they've gained momentum along the way. Because remember, after game week 3, 4-5 is where the Champions League really starts, and that's when we start to see, can Chelsea really rotate the squad that they have? Do they have enough depth? Can Cole Palmer play every 3 to 5 3 days? Whereas Man United basically has 1 game a week at that stage of the actual season. So I feel like that's going to be their tough. With Nottingham Forest, I think only Arsenal will really be the tough challenge in those game weeks. And then whereas for Newcastle, they get that tough game out the way, which not Newcastle, Aston Villa, they get the Newcastle fixture out the way. I think what's really nice about that is they're at least at home, and also Newcastle hasn't necessarily been looking really all that great in terms of form in preseason, as well as the fact that Isak isn't back. And at the moment, because of how close we are to the actual season, I'm not sure he's really going to be ready for that game as well. So I think that game is actually looking a whole lot easier, and including the entire run, which then sort of leaves Palace, and I think Palace at the same time will really tell, you know, how good they are when we see them against Liverpool on this Sunday in the Community Shield. So that for me is the best fixtures, the teams that have the best attacking fixtures for the first 6 game weeks. Let's get into the best forward picks for FPL. So game week 1 best forward picks, number 1 starting in the top price tag, Haaland at 19.6% ownership. Guys, he is a differential. If you are looking to go against Salah, who does have tough opposition in his first, really for me, 3 game weeks, I think Haaland is definitely a go-to. Starting off with game week 1 against Wolves away, Haaland for me really is more so of a fixture-proof player, so I think he can get something against Tottenham. He is playing at home. He does favor home fixtures as well. That's a fixture in which you can definitely captain him in when other people are looking elsewhere, because Mo Salah has a bit of a tough fixture in that second game against Newcastle. For me, in all honesty, I feel like the Tottenham game will be tricky, Brighton a bit tricky, Man United as well as Arsenal, of course. His fixtures really start to look green at game week 6, but as I mentioned, he is a fixture proof player. So if you are looking to really go differential, Haaland for me is the best differential player, best one to really start with, and I think he'll really hit you up the ranks, especially when Salah does blank. And I think these first few game weeks is the time to actually go against Salah, and the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to actually have Erling Haaland in your team. Let us go into the next price tag, and the next price tag here for best game week 1 forward picks, Ollie Watkins at 9 million, another differential, only 14.4% owned. I think what's really tough about his price point is that it's really high, and everybody's trying to fit in both a Cole Palmer and maybe even a Florian Wirtz, who's looking very good as well in that midfield. Now, I think the only person Ollie Watkins at his price tag is really competing with is new signing from Arsenal, Gyökeres. But between the two, in all honesty, you have to go Ollie Watkins because of his form that he's been showing in preseason, as well as the fact that we know he is a Premier League proven player. He will score you goals. Aston Villa is looking really good there, being back behind up there with Morgan Rogers and the rest of the crew in Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins is a sure lock-in when it comes to his price tag at 9 million. We have to see how Gyökeres performs really, but even so, I think if Gyökeres played this preseason against a match he'll be doing in the time of recording today against Villarreal, he hasn't necessarily had a good preseason in terms of hasn't really trained at Sporting. This is where he started to train really now with Arsenal. Came off the bench in the first game. We'll see if he starts this next game. But Ollie Watkins has been performing. He'll be ready for that game. There has been transfer speculation of him to Man United or just away in general to Aston Villa. I think if Benjamin Sesko does eventually go to Man United, I think Ollie Watkins is a definite lock if you guys are looking for a 9 million price tag forward. Another one that we can talk about, game week 1 best forward picks, Jarrod Bowen at 8 million, and he again is another differential at 19.8% ownership. He is a bit of a tough one because he has a great game week 1 fixture. But what I like about Jarrod Bowen is, besides the fact that he ended the season off really well last season, he is a player within his team at West Ham who pretty much is very much involved with the goals there. So I would probably even put his ratio up between 30 to 50% involved with the goals there, meaning if there's a goal, if there's 2 goals, he's definitely involved in at least one of them, either scoring or even assisting. And even on the second one, if he hasn't even scored that one, he would most likely have assisted it. So I don't want to say he's fixture proof, but quite frankly, if they're going to score in a fixture, you can bet that Jarrod Bowen is involved in it. And the beauty of his price tag is there's a lot of great 7.5 options below him, and so it's really nice to sort of start with him and be able to actually jump down if you're really unsure of which 7.5 million striker you're going to go along with. And don't worry, I'll help you out with that after this. But Jarrod Bowen, a really great differential, really great option again if you're looking to shake up in the ranks and also jump ahead of a lot of people who have gone with the common picks. Now, the common picks, game week 1 best forward picks at the price point of 7.5 million. Joao Pedro for Chelsea, having moved from Brighton, just clarifying that because of the image. He is the highest owned striker. Now, this one is a bit alright, let me tell you what the problem is with this guy, okay? It's simple. He's in a team that have a lot of potential in terms of people coming on and off the bench. For example, right now, Jackson is suspended for the first game. I think maybe even 2 or 3, not sure, but I know he's suspended for the first game. But Liam Delap is fit and able to play. Therefore, he is a bit of a minutes risk, and we did see in the Club World Cup enough to know that Joao Pedro is the first pick. But the issue is, at the end of the day, he doesn't play full 90 minutes, and you want your strikers full 90 minutes. And so the risk with Joao Pedro here is, and I'm going to say this so you guys really, think about this. If he blanks game week 1, comes off 70 minutes, doesn't do anything, and he blanks game week 2, right? Maybe even just an assist, right? And say game week 3, he blanks again. Game week 4, going into Champions League, you might have a whole lot of people taking him out because they know that's when rotation is going to be very heavy, because they're going to be rotating the squad every single 3 days. And you won't know whether Joao Pedro is in the Champions League squad or is in the Premier League squad. And when that happens, you having bought him at 7.5, you're just going to start seeing his price plummet, because there's a whole lot of people transferring him out of his team. And so you're going to lose value in your team when you would have wanted to wildcarded with a higher value or team value. So he's a bit of a risk like that, knowing that he's got high ownership. The other risk, of course, in terms of not going for him is if he goes big and you don't really have him, then yeah, sure, fine. You're going a bit of against the crowd there, and the crowd's going to be beating you. But if you ask me, because of that minutes risk, I don't think we should really be migrating to him to start with. I think it's something we need to monitor, see if his minutes are actually more secure or not, and then make the move to Joao Pedro. That's my opinion. Now, the next price point, 6.5 best forward picks for game week 1, Danny Welbeck at 7.8%. Another big differential. For me, Danny Welbeck is the clear favorite and obvious one at 6.5. There isn't really much options I can really think of in terms of who could be rivaling for him at this price point, besides the ones at 6.0. But then again, those options being somewhat like Thiago Silva from Brentford, as well as Fulkrug at West Ham, I would just rather go for a man who's Thiago Silva. Yes, fine. Look, he at Brentford, he's, I think, more secure in minutes, regardless of Wissa being there or not. I think Wissa would somewhat fall in more of a creative role that Mbuemo was, but they could definitely play those two together. I do think Thiago does have, from what I've heard, he does have penalties. But my issue with Thiago and Brentford is they've been so weakened in the attack. In fact, the entire spine of the team, the creative spine, is Mbuemo, Norgard in the midfield, and then as well as the actual keeper themselves is out, and then the main man being the coach. Then you also got the controversy of Wissa as well. So all of that for me coupled, I'm just like, no, I don't need that type of drama, especially when they've also got tough fixtures out the window. Not an option for me. Fulkrug, just again, not an option for me. They do have Callum Wilson, which they have brought in as well. So I think if there is anybody that's going to have less minutes between Bowen and Fulkrug, I think it's definitely going to be Fulkrug there. So really not an option there at 6 million. Danny Welbeck really secures it for me. He's got just about, for me, I'd say probably 2 fixtures which are tough, being the Man City one and also the Chelsea one. But we're yet to learn really what Tottenham Hotspur really is in terms of difficulty for a lot of teams because of the new coach Thomas Frank. So if you're looking for a 6.5, I'd say Danny Welbeck is a clear and obvious option. And with that said, we'll jump down straight to 5.5 options, because again, I don't think at 6 million we have a real clear good option. But let me know in the comment section if you think we do as well. 5.5 game week 1 best forward picks, I would say, is Mayenda from Sunderland, 0.5% ownership. Now, you need to understand at this level now, we're really picking a player more so to be an enabler to help you in sense of enabling you to pick a higher price striker. So for example, a Watkins, or even a Jared Bowen, or just in the case of picking a higher priced midfielder, you want to basically go cheap in the strike force, and so you have more money in the midfield. So I say this because don't depend on this striker to bring you those points, right? He's 5.5 for a reason, That having been said, you still want to try and pick the best striker who has the minutes and has favorable fixtures, and I think Sunderland have favorable fixtures in the first 3 fixtures. Mayenda did so well for them coming up in promotion. Yes, they did go through the qualifiers, the playoffs, last minute, quite frankly, but they're playing West Ham at home. Knowing promoted teams' home fixtures for the first game week, they are always showing up. Burnley second, then Brentford again at home. Those are 3 very great favorable fixtures, and so if you want a cheap option which you could probably bench boost with as well, I think Mayenda is a sure end lock, seeming to really play more so on the right hand side of the field. Watching some Sunderland highlights to really see his effectiveness and how well he plays, I really liked him. At this price point, rivaling him, you do have a Beto. The issue with Beto is more so minutes, and I say minutes because I need you guys to remember and think of it in terms of long term. You don't want to be making too many transfers. I know a lot of us now, of course, with FPL allowing us to roll our transfers so we can have 5 free transfers in our bank. You don't want to be having to be forced to make a transfer for a Beto who hasn't really been performing preseason, so much to the point of Moyes expressing it in a press conference, saying that he could do better, and also them having bought a striker, I think it's Theron Berry, and them having that option, you could see Beto playing maybe game week 1, game week 2, of course definitely starting, but then game week 3 you probably have Barry starting ahead of him, and then you feel like, wow, I now don't have a good cheap option who's even playing as well, whereas Mayenda I think has proven himself so well. He will always be in and around that starting lineup, of course, playing one game a week basically. So he for me is my 5.5 option. Going cheaper and keeping with Sunderland, Marc G, I'm not going to butcher his name, so I'm going to call him Marc G, which is much easier, is a great option at 4.5. Now, let's just clear the air here. Firstly, Marc G has transferred to Sunderland, so don't be confused in terms of the Chelsea emblem there and stuff. So he basically has the same fixtures as you saw with Mayenda. The first 3 fixtures are really great, but we have to take into account at the time at which he's transferred, how many games has he really played with Sunderland. Therefore, I don't think he's gonna really be an option in terms of starting. So he's a great enabler to help structure your team and free up some funds, like be an enabler basically. And I don't think he's an option really if you're trying to bench boost from game week 1, because I don't think he'll see enough minutes in that first game week. I think he will play the game, but I don't think he'll see enough minutes just because he hasn't probably had enough time to really gel with the team. He has the next 2 weeks, of course, which is what we got until the game week starts, but I don't think we're going to see enough to really indicate and show that, look, he is the main man that they're going to be playing up front there at Sunderland. But again, I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. I just feel like 2 weeks, I don't think is going to be enough for him to gel, and we'll see how much faith they have in him. But he is an enabler to help you structure your team and enable funds as well in the front line. That is my best forward picks for game week 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Most importantly, please hit that subscribe button if you really love this this content. I will be covering midfielders, of course, and as well defenders for you guys, just checking out who are the best defenders in terms of DEFCON as well, and who to really pick between the two. So if you're interested into some drafts, then please check out the videos that you can see around your screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.